Great.
Okay, Vance just got done updating us on this event, this Episcopal opportunity to have an exhibit at their upcoming conference. And thank you very much, Vance, for putting us into that opportunity. So the key things, we'll absolutely have an exhibit figured out. We kind of already have an initial tabling, is what it's called, set up. And then Vance, so it sounds like you and Kathleen will be there Saturday, but we should probably have another person there on Saturday so you two don't have to worry about it. Is that right?
Yeah. If we had somebody there from Idaho Interfaith Power and Light, that would be great.
Okay, Mark, were you raising your hand?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Would you like to help with our exhibit while you're there?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's great. Are you a delegate?
No, I'm not. I don't know. Maybe Tammy will be. I mean, she's officially recognized.
Okay, that'd be great. Oh, that'd be great. I mean, that's a natural because
and I've
interest. Yeah,
I've got to get back anyways with Dennis Reed here on some things for St. Stephen's. He was like probably every new rector, he was all on fire when he just got in there, and then I think reality hit in on him in terms of what else is going. But I need to cycle back because they've got a push now for what programming should look like for next year. So I've got some things in mind that would not require him to do anything but give us the space, and I'll take it from there. So this will be a good segue for both things.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, I like it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mark. And Vance, I would also like to be there. I feel like just through all of our work together with Interfaith Power and Light, I just have such fond feelings about the Episcopal congregations locally. So I would like to be there. I do observe my Sabbath on Saturday, but considering I feel like this would be very much of a Sabbath stop, I will plan on being there as well at some point.
What time? Just because we have a bar mitzvah at Cabby on Saturday the 30th and then an event after, what time frames are you kind of looking at?
Yes, welcome, Molly. Thanks for still making it a few minutes late. So we're talking.
Oh, my computer. Anyway, update. Well,
yeah, okay. we just wanted to get this done at the very beginning of the meeting because Vance has to step out.
Right.
7:15, and then he'll be back. So, Molly, this is an Episcopal conference at the Holy Nativity, Episcopal Church of the Holy Nativity in Meridian on the evening of November 9th and then Saturday, November 10th.
Oh, November. Oh, yeah. November 9th. Okay.
So November 10th will be the main day, and Mark and I will make sure to have our exhibit materials there.
Right.
And if anybody wants to stop by on Saturday and help with just speaking to people, that'd be great.
I would love to do that. I would.
Yeah. Oh, great. Okay, Ken.
That looks great. So, Adam, you and I can coordinate times after. Okay, perfect.
Hey, I'll put
November 11th, correct?
No,
you're looking.
Yeah, 10th.
November 10th, Saturday.
Yeah, it's a Saturday. Adam, you might, as you're thinking about that, you might want to be there over the lunch hour. You'd be welcome to join us for lunch, and it would be a good chance to introduce you to everybody, and also to call attention to the exhibit. Let me see if you find out what times you're going to be there, but if you happen to be there over the lunch hour, then let me see if we can get an introduction for you to the entire congregation.
Wonderful. Yes, please plan on it. Just put me down because my Sabbath is usually open. And so I will happily join for a Sabbath lunch with you all.
Yeah.
And I'll look forward to it.
It's going to be as I recall, it's going to be a sack lunch, and then we're going to be gathered in the parish hall. So it's going to be fairly informal. It'd be a good time to introduce you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Put me in.
I'm going to step away for a bit.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Vance.
Thank you.
Good to hear your voice, Vance.
See you soon.
All right.
Okay. Yes, Vance has an errand to run for 10 or 15 minutes, and then he'll be back.
Okay.
So we didn't really do introductions, and so we just wanted to get that piece of agenda done while Vance was here. So let's just quickly check in, and then our two clergy members.
Hi, Tom. Hold on a minute. Got it. Sorry, people.
Yeah, could you mute? Yeah, thank you. Our two clergy members are off for this meeting. They're very busy clergy, and so I was going to lead our opening meditation. But first, I already checked in briefly with Ken and Mark, but Molly, how are you doing?
Great. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we just wrapped up most of our high holy days, and then we're heading to Sukkot this coming Friday. And yeah, lots of good things. So I hope everyone else is doing well. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. I really enjoyed the high holidays this year as well. So I guess it's somewhat fitting that I can do our opening meditation, because yesterday was Yom Kippur, the Jewish holiday. It's definitely one of my favorite years, or favorite days on the calendar year. I love it. It's a full fast, so most of the observant Jewish community was fasting yesterday, and it's just a intense, serious, awe-inspiring day. And so I'll lead an opening meditation, but before I get into it, I kind of want to preface the meditation with an idea, and I'm going to show our agenda real quick.
Okay.
Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
So we just covered this tabling at the Episcopal Conference, and then next is our opening prayer and meditation. And I just wanted to give a shout out to our colleague Caleb, who is the leader of the Montana Interfaith Power and Light. He brought up this idea in a recent Zoom national IPL Zoom call that I was on. But he was saying that they are going to start doing Bible studies, monthly Bible studies, just to try to be more inclusive of conservative churches and others that would rather a meeting be more grounded in Scripture. And so I think that is a very good idea. I personally read the Bible a fair amount, and we do have a large Christian community in our organization, and also just in our broader area. So I just want to put that on the table as an idea for future, meeting. Maybe just every now and then we could do a Bible study that's based on care for the environment, and use that opportunity as something to invite those that would appreciate a Bible study too.
That's great.
Yeah, this is Ken. Just really quickly, I do have, I've had it for quite some time now, my dog-eared copy of the Green Bible, and it is a Bible, but it is written, all the highlighted green in the Bible are all about environmental and stewardship, climate issues, and things like that. So I'd be happy to dig into there if we decide to pursue this, which is kind of exciting. But I do have this resource that is geared toward the work that we're doing.
Excellent.
Great.
I was going to bring that up, so I'm glad that you're already aware of the Green Bible. But I think it's important to reference that it's a Bible that's just highlighting scriptures about stewardship. So it's not green in a political sense. It's green as far as biblically. And so, yes, let's just tentatively put that on our list. And then I'll also, before we do the meditation, and the meditation is related to this Bible study topic that I just brought up. But before I do the meditation, I just kind of want to get this in the meeting and in the agenda, but kind of how we're pacing right now to do our work together is a quarterly meeting that it will either be in person or on Zoom. And we'll try to usually have a Zoom option so that anyone in the state can join. But that quarterly meeting will be most of our work time together, and it'll also be our quarterly board meeting. Because I think of all things right now, people are not needing a monthly Zoom meeting just to have a meeting. And so just because all of our time is valuable, let's just plan, unless we really pick up our pace of work, on a quarterly meeting officially. And then as we have an official event that we're doing, or as we have something else, like somebody wants to schedule a Bible study on Zoom or something like that, then we can schedule meetings as needed around something that we're doing together. But I think that is a good pace of meetings, and then we'll shoot for at least 2 in-person events a year. So we had the Spring Climate Festival at Cabby that I think was a really good start for the first annual. And then we will also try to do one other event, at least in-person event, in closer to the winter time and the winter holidays and Christmas season and everything like that. So having at least 2 recurring events on the calendar in person to get people together in a spiritual setting, and then having a quarterly meeting for our administrative work is kind of what we're picking. I think for now it seems to be working. So is anyone opposed to that, or would anybody rather have more frequent meetings? Anybody?
Well, I don't necessarily, I'm not going to argue for, or I'm not going to advocate for, or agitate for more frequent meetings, but things will come up in between the quarterly meetings. And I think that, and we should all feel very at ease in terms of sharing them online or however we decide to do that, because I'll talk about this later, but the Idaho power rate case, for instance, and there's some issues there that might be, we're not involved in that rate case, of course, because we're not ready. We don't have the infrastructure, but some people may be interested in how that case is proceeding.
Yeah, Ken, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thank you for bringing that up, Ken, because what I'm proposing is just to have our scheduled meetings be quarterly. And then anytime there's something else that we want to work on, then we are happy to schedule a Zoom meeting around something that's going on.
I think it's great, Evan. Thank you.
Quarterly plus. Quarterly plus.
That's great. Quarterly plus. All right.
Okay, so I will do our opening meditation, I guess our kind of midway point meditation, and we will keep our meeting to an hour under. So, all right. So in the spirit of the Jewish high holidays, and Yom Kippur was yesterday, and also in the spirit of this, I think a really good idea from our colleagues in Montana that we could do a Bible study around stewardship. I wanted to share a meditation that I recently did at our Cabby, our Congregation Ahaveth Beth Israel synagogue. I kind of did a version of this meditation, and so I'm going to just kind of go through it on Zoom with you all real quick. And so this is, I think, a very helpful, I think it's only 4 pages. Let me zoom this in. Hold on. This is a very helpful 10 points on Jewish teachings on the environment. I'm happy. I'll send the link of this out in our next newsletter and just share that we covered it. But I think it's especially helpful for our work here in Idaho because it's 10 points that are from the Jewish tradition, but they also are very much included in the Christian tradition because almost all of them are from the Christian Bible as well. And so it's things like, kind of foundational theological and responsibility concepts that come from a biblical worldview. And yeah, so it's a brief document that kind of gives a high level summary of what the Bible says about our responsibility for the environment and for stewardship. And so I'm just going to skim, I'll just read them real quick. God created the universe. Number 1, God's creation is good. Human beings are created in the image of God. Humanity should view their place in creation with love and awe. The Sabbath and prayer help us to achieve this state of mind. The Torah prohibits the wasteful consumption of anything. The Torah gives an obligation to save human life. The Torah prohibits the extinction of species and causing undue pain to non-human creatures. Environmental justice is a Jewish value. Tikkun Olam, the perfection fixing of the world is in our hands. So all of these 10 points are deeply rooted in both the Jewish and Christian traditions. And I think the one that might surprise people from a more conservative, well, maybe not, but the idea of this is phrased in a kind of with some politically charged language. Environmental justice is a Jewish value, but the Torah is full of examples of a very balanced society that's not overbalanced just towards economics and creating material wealth. So there's many examples straight from the Bible about balancing, economics with caring for the land, caring for animals, caring for vegetation, caring for the poor. And so all of that is very deeply rooted in the tradition of the Bible. And so now for the meditation, I'm just going to go over 2 words real quick. And so this is kind of a Bible study. That's why I brought up the Montana thing first. But 2 words that you all have maybe heard, Hebrew words. The first is nephesh. And the first time, so nephesh typically is soul, but it's what humans carry. It's a living soul. And it first comes up in Genesis 2, when God breathes into humankind, I should say, nephesh. So nephesh is the soul that we all carry, and those of us who believe in a higher power, give glory to the higher power for giving us this life force and this human soul that we carry as humans. So nephesh, soul, living soul, is the first word, and chesed is the second word. Chesed in Hebrew is usually translated as mercy or loving kindness, but it's something that people can have towards each other, and it's also something that God or the higher power can have towards humanity. Is God's mercy, and chesed is one of his attributes that we find in the Bible. So it kind of starts coming up in Genesis 19 and 20, but chesed is a very common, both these words, but chesed especially is a very common Jewish word, or Hebrew word, for loving kindness towards other, as well as mercy of God. And so the meditation, just to kind of close this out, it's going to be fairly brief. But if you want to close your eyes or open your eyes, whatever you want to do. I know this kind of climate work, environmental work in Idaho can be stressful, and it can make you feel tense about people who don't agree or obnoxious with how they, drive around town or whatnot. And so the meditation, I just want us all to breathe deeply for 2 or 3 minutes. So just slow down your heart rate, lower your blood pressure. Try to breathe in maybe for 5 seconds slowly. Hold it for a second at the top, and then exhale maybe for 7 seconds. And then instead of me saying it every time, I just want you to breathe deeply, eyes closed or eyes open, whatever you want to do. But as you breathe in for 5 seconds or so, just meditate on the word nephesh, soul, living soul. And fill yourself as you breathe in with nephesh and gratitude that you have a living soul, and that people were made in the likeness of God, and we all carry this spark of light, this nephesh, this living soul. Every human carries it, and it's a miracle. So as you breathe in, just focus on nephesh, gratitude for yours and other people's nephesh. Think of the people that you see and just the gratitude that we all carry this nephesh. And then when you breathe out slowly, meditate on chesed. Just send those people loving kindness, mercy, loving kindness. So in, nephesh. Out, chesed. Just go ahead and do that on your own for a few minutes. Deep breath in, nephesh. Deep breath out, chesed. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank
That-
you, guys.
Oh,
Sure.
thank you.
Sure. Okay, that was our opening meditation halfway through the meeting. And because our clergy were out in one of the recent newsletters, I sent out the 2 opening meditations for 2 of our clergy, and they're just beautiful, totally beautiful. So please watch those as you need inspiration.
Okay.
Okay, so we're about halfway through the meeting, but we did intros. We're going to be working this upcoming Episcopal conference on November 9th and 10th. And then the other main items that I wanted to touch on are these 4. Can you all see the agenda okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the main item I'd like to start to figure out is our second in-person event for sometime maybe in November or December. And the Pope, the Catholic Church, is releasing the second Laudato Si letter. Kind of a big deal, in my opinion. And so we've kind of been in discussions about having an in-person event around that. And then the second thing that I think I'd like to pair with that, if no one else, and we could add a third thing as well, but is an official demonstration from people who are trained on this climate simulator.
All right.
It's called En-ROADS, and it just shows what happens to emissions and the effects of greenhouse gases, the expected effects, as you start to make changes on our energy system, on our agricultural and land use. So it's a very detailed way to talk about the problem of greenhouse gas emissions and what their effects are. You can look at all sorts of different effects on temperature, atmosphere, oceans. Let's see. Yeah, so sea level rise, ocean acidification. You can go through and get very detailed, and we have people locally that are trained to present this. And so what I would like to do for our next maybe wintertime meeting is have maybe a 30-minute discussion on Laudato Si, hopefully led by or participating with or led by someone from the Catholic community locally, and then 30 minutes or so with En-ROADS, so that we have the spiritual component and then we have a very practical component for a very hopefully interactive hour. And I'm thinking keep it very simple, just those a discussion maybe with small groups about Laudato Si, and then have these outside experts present En-ROADS. Keep it very simple, indoors somewhere. We might have 20 to 50 people and just an hour in November, December. So thoughts on that, Mark? I'm glad you're here. I wanted to start with you because I know you've kind of been in the loop a little bit.
Yeah. So I have a few comments on that. I don't think it's going to be difficult or a challenge to find a location for the Laudato Si discussion. And I would start with St. Stephen's. They've got a large facility, knowing that they would invite not just any faith denomination, but anybody interested, period. So, and I'm reasonably confident that we could get that. And I'm reasonably confident that perhaps working with Bob Reinhardt out of St. Mary's, we could have somebody that's fairly versed on the second Laudato Si. So so that one I will work on that. I've got a comment about combining it with En-ROADS, and please don't view this as some wet blanket or whatever, but I think En-ROADS is an amazing descriptive hands-on tool. For my purposes, it doesn't drive me to local action at my level. To me, it's more of an academic exercise because those sectors are so so broad, and so many people I know and kind of I think would just say, well, that's really cool, but where do I fit in on this? I'm not suggesting that that we don't do an En-ROADS thing. What I'm questioning is combining it and dovetailing it with Laudato Si. And let me give you a further example. So with our drawdown work, the last year or so, we've been doing pretty much focusing on 3 of the drawdown solutions that everybody can engage in. We just did one out at Peaceful Belly a couple weeks ago, a workshop on plant-based, plant-focused meals and diets, food waste, and home energy conservation. We just did the plant-based at Peaceful Belly, and what we're trying to do is engage people at a level that they feel they can enter this game, and knowing that small involvement, initial simple involvement always leads to much bigger involvement. So in my mind, I would rather think, and this is just me, simple me on this, I'm not running this railroad, would rather tie Laudato Si with a discussion about some local solutions that would, if applied on a global scale, would have an impact, versus the En-ROADS thing just is, it's not complicated because I get it, but it's just awful busy for me, and I don't, at this juncture, I'm not sure with the general public if that would lead them to actually going home and making commitment about something, other than saying is, hey, yeah, cool. If we do this, if we do that, maybe it'd lead them to, engage at a, like, for example, with the shoot, my brain just left me. The folks working on the carbon legislation.
Yes,
Citizens
anyway,
Climate Lobby.
yeah.
Pardon, yeah, Citizens Climate Lobby. Thank you. Anyway, so that's just me. So I guess my summary comment here is I'll work on a location for the second Laudato Si. I'll work on people that would be, within the Catholic Church that would help present that, and I'm open to whatever you folks want to work with. What would be a complimentary topic for that evening?
Okay. Well, thank you very much for stepping up to help us find a location. Getting a location at the date, I think, is the main thing that needs to be done. So thank you. If St. Stephen's or another Catholic, or like you suggested, Episcopal congregation would like to host the event, we'll clean up after ourselves. And so thank you for that, first of all. And then I hear you on En-ROADS. Okay. I have some thoughts on that, but anyone else with thoughts on pairing Laudato Si conversation with something else, whether it be drawdown or En-ROADS or?
Okay, this is Ingrid, and I just unmuted myself, so I hope it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Nice to see you, Ingrid.
Okay, I don't know what's in the Laudato Si letter, so I would have to look at that, but I would think there would be something in that that would be applicable to people's lives and what they would be doing and how they could work together in their congregations for that. And so to me, that might be a nice thing for people to do, to think about that, not just to hear it, but then think, now we have this direction from our church, and what can we do? How can we make it livable in our own communities? So I think that would, I kind of agree with Mark on that. I think that would be very good.
Okay, great point. Yeah, great point, Ingrid. And we're kind of, if Bob helps us lead the discussion for Laudato Si, who has been leading these in the community about the major Laudato Si from I think 2015. Mark and Bob could probably coordinate, because Mark is the one who coordinates a lot of the drawdowns, so he knows drawdown very well. So whatever the content, Ingrid, I think that's a great idea. Whatever the content of the second letter is, and including the first letter for a broad discussion, whatever naturally lends to transition into how can you actually practically change some behaviors, and then Mark could kind of help us with that side of the conversation. I think those are good
You know,
thoughts.
yeah, and it might be that, I'm sorry, let's hear from everybody else.
Yeah, Molly.
No, so the question mark, this, and Adam, all of us, Ken, Ingrid, this would be how long? We're looking at the time frame of what?
Yes, so good question. And my
Good.
initial thought is that we could market the event for an hour.
Hour?
That
Mhm.
people feel like, they can come in on an evening and get in and out. Because one of our learnings from the climate festival in the spring was having a 3 or 4 hour block, whatever we had. It was unnecessary. We should have
Yeah.
6 hours, so everyone comes at the same time. Having 4 hours or 3 hours is totally unnecessary. And I do think, to encourage people to come and know that it's not going to take up their entire half of their day. I was thinking an hour, but after hearing Mark speak, I agree. I think we should have the main keynotes for the event be Laudato Si, and then transition that into the second part, and that is just practical things that you can do at home and at work or whatever it might be. So I'm in agreement with that, but I do think getting En-ROADS out in the community for those who would like to see it, it's very valuable. And so my thought while Mark was speaking was that maybe we could have a hour event advertised, and then at the end, the last 5 minutes, we could say thank you to everybody. Say, hey, we're going to wrap up in an hour so that to honor your time. But we also have an En-ROADS team here. If anybody would like to stay for 20 or 30 minutes, we're also going to kind of play around with this simulator. Because I do think because Mark, I totally hear you. But then there's the other side of the coin that I respect both sides of the coin you're talking about. But the other side of the coin is that I don't think just volunteerism is going to get the job done at the pace we need it. And so I try to do little things to reduce my emissions. I know a lot of people do lots of little things, but people that think that recycling and volunteerism and trying to do little things like that are going to solve the problem, I highly doubt it. And so I think we need to inspire those small actions that will inspire larger actions. But then I do think that we need good policy, we need good leadership at the higher levels to really drive emissions down in the next 10 or 20 years. Otherwise, I think we kind of have a pipe dream without addressing the En-ROADS side, and that's the systemic side. System side.
I've got pardon me, but I do most of my thinking out loud.
Sure.
And I'm going back and looking at this, and so just kind of a frame of reference. A friend of mine, John Bruick, and I both did with the first Laudato Si, did a 5-week study on that thing. Now, I mean, the first one was massive. It was about 300-page encyclical. So it's not it's called a letter, but it's
well, it's I should call it an encyclical.
No, I know. But so what I'm getting at is, and I don't know if the second go around is kind of like hitting the high points, but if we're looking at just an hour, I think we're going to need to do is dive into this second letter. And then, to me, one of the poignant points is it's a faith community based response, as you were analogous to the Bible study, where you're actually pulling out things, and this thing is laced with references to scriptures. So we would need to be thoughtful about providing enough of just the notion that this is a faith-based, here's the high points, and then whatever however we move that. And I agree with you wholeheartedly on the small actions. When you look at the 4 levels of action, personal, family and friends, groups and organizations, and then rules, regulations, and policy. The majority of the moving the needle occurs at levels 2 and 3. Not everybody engages at number 4. And as you point out, number 1, personal, it might make you feel good, but that's really not gonna do much.
Mhm.
Other than hopefully moving into levels 2, 3, and 4. So, so I guess what I'm getting at is, yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye out as soon as this thing comes out, really take a look at what the second go around looks at, and then how do we prepare that succinct time with it, and what do we couple it with? I like the idea of
I don't-
maybe ending it and then having a stay on for those that want to be, and I would like to think the majority of folks, if not all of them, would stay on for the En-ROADS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think many will, but we don't have to do an, we could advertise a 90-minute event. I think that's fine, 7 to 8:30, or I think 7 to 8:30 or 6 to 7:30. We could do a 90-minute event. I just want to advertise it in a way that makes it approachable to people, where they can feel like, okay, I care about this, I can drop in.
Yeah,
So anyone else on length of time? Should we do a planned and advertised hour event or 90 minutes? Any thoughts?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump one last
Yeah.
time, then I'll shut up.
No, you're fine.
You know, with all of the work we've been doing, we find if you have an hour advertised, you can count on no more than 45 minutes of actual time, and if you have an hour and a half, you can count on maybe no more than an hour and 15 minutes. It's just
Yeah.
people are coming in late. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just the way it is, especially if it's for free.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Okay. So maybe 90 minutes.
That
Yes,
sounds good.
Yeah.
I think an hour, as Mark was just pointing out, would be, for various reasons, would just be too compact.
Yeah.
I don't, and how you want to I mean, I see it's a difficult segue from the letter to something as clinical as the En-ROADS thing. I just don't, I value both so much. I just don't know how you go from one to the
So-
other.
Mhm.
so
It's an
So,
awkward
Ad-
segue.
Adam,
Yes.
I mean, and maybe this is part of it in how you set it up, but couldn't that second piece be how communities can actually form a community within like IPL or whatever, how they can use other faith communities as templates? Or I mean, I'm just wondering, getting back to what Molly was saying and Ingrid, about how, I mean, give them some tips on organizing their own
Mhm.
wherever they come from. I'm kind of groping around here with ideas.
Mhm.
Yeah. So let's do a 90-minute event sometime in November, December, indoors. Mark will help us find a location, and yeah, we'll do mainly a discussion on Laudato Si, and then we'll transition into a practical discussion led by
Mhm.
others on local actions. Within that, we can share about what IPL does and how and the support that's available for congregations that want to reduce emissions at a congregation level. So we'll have kind of the individual and congregation discussion with Mark on just actions that you can take.
Mhm.
I think that's good, and then we'll just, so we have 2 or 3 months to kind of put this together, but really getting the location and date finalized is the bulk of the work, because I can figure out a lot of the rest. And then we'll kind of leave whether we want to have En-ROADS available at the end for those who want to stay. We'll table that for now.
Okay.
I guess I'm quite familiar with En-ROADS, and I think it segues quite easily, because I mean the Laudato Si is a letter from the Catholic Church. I mean, the Catholic Church is a huge body of people, and the Pope is politically active on the topic, and he wants to see, things like the Paris Climate Agreement and other things that are systemic. I mean, the Pope is leading and asking other leaders, politicians, countries, business leaders to act, and that gets you right into En-ROADS, where if you really want to talk at the Catholic Church level, I mean, you're talking about 1 billion people. So I fully agree that we should go Laudato Si to local and individual actions, and then we'll just table the En-ROADS. But I think it's so valuable, and our En-ROADS team that is trained on this wants to find ways to get out in the community. And I think this could be a good one. And so I don't want to like miss the opportunity if we're not going to have another event for another, 5
Mhm.
Yes, and Adam, I didn't mean to suggest, I think I wouldn't leave En-ROADS out of this whole planning process. I think that's, I mean, to the extent where we could help transition from the letter to action, I think that's part of what En-ROADS helps us do. And so
Oh. Mhm.
Okay.
Just-
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone else talking?
Yeah, just
I
a
want-
philosophic comment, and please don't take this as being snarky, but Laudato Si is the Pope's, and there's a segment of the church that is all for it. I'm guessing that across the globe, Laudato Si is embraced more by other faith communities than the Catholic Church as a whole.
Oh.
So, I mean, just,
Understood. It's
yeah,
complicated.
okay.
I understand the politics within the Catholic Church and within the church overall. Totally get it. But
Yeah.
I mean, we're in this space, and so I think setting ourselves on a path to do a Bible study around stewardship.
Yep.
Maybe that can be kind of our follow-on action from our in-person event. Is, hey, we're going to do a Bible study in a month on Zoom, and you're welcome to join. So that we have an action, an action that we have on the table for us that's rooted in Scripture. Because even those in the Christian tradition that disagree on climate change or the politics, we can go straight to the Scripture. And I think most Christians and others that respect the Bible as a tradition will at least respect us for continuing the conversation rooted in Scripture. So yeah, it's
That's an interesting idea. You know what I was going to say, Adam and Mark too, and Molly, that I was just thinking another part of this is a lot of people do not even know what our organization does or what this group of people is trying to do. So I think that will be a really nice way to introduce it and to kind of get some more people involved that would be energized to have some good ideas to bring forward. And the fact that it is an interfaith group, but a lot of people don't know anything about it. So I think it's really important to kind of continue with that outreach and organizing. I like that idea of the Bible study. And so that is an interesting idea that could attract more people, and just really getting to know that when you go to the Interfaith Power and Light website, they have so many resources and they are wanting to do all these things that it's like, gosh, I didn't even know a thing about it until I started looking into it. So it's sort of like, I think that'd be a good thing to include in what we're setting out for this November event.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Thanks.
great.
No, I agree. And we're a very new chapter of Interfaith Power and Light in Idaho. And so I run into people in the climate advocacy space that don't know about organizations like Citizens Climate Lobby and other fairly large organizations. So I think one main feature of these in-person events, Ingrid, I think is exactly that, is just to get more people exposed that we're here. We're meeting a couple times a year in person. And Ingrid, yes, the National Interfaith Power and Light website has a ton on it, lots of good resources. Some of them are relevant to us here in Idaho, and some not so much. But then we also have a website for our Idaho chapter where people can message us and see kind of what we're doing locally. And so feel free to share our local website, put them in touch with me, forward a newsletter, because yeah, we're a very young nonprofit, but we'll hopefully gain interest from more people as we go along.
One thing I'd like to add too is I've been on Zoom calls with the University of New Mexico, has this program called ECHO, where they do continuing education for health professionals. And their whole focus for the past year and a half has been climate change and health. And they have done some great presentations, but also they've been really good about inviting different community groups to present what they're doing. And so I think that would be something to keep in mind, that really connecting with other groups that are like healthcare. There's a big emphasis in the hospitals now as far as, you know, saving energy, being more green, trying to be more, have less of a carbon footprint. So connecting with some of those resources, I think would be very good. Because otherwise we feel like we're all kind of going different directions, but we all have the same goal. So if we
Yes,
could
yes.
work together more, it might be more effective.
Yes, thank you for that, Ingrid. And I'm happy to send out other events, online events, workshops that are going on in our newsletter if they're relevant. We as an organization have to be very careful because our focus, we have a very small team of volunteers, and our focus is spiritual climate.
Mhm.
And so I'm on newsletters for all sorts of climate organizations. And I mean, if you want to attend webinars and get involved nationally on the issue, or in Washington, New Mexico, I mean, there's tons and tons of things that you can do and tune into. So all support of that. But I think we have kind of a good structure going where we're focusing on things locally that are relevant to us. And then anytime someone shares with me another local event that's going on, I'm happy to put it in our newsletter. So Ingrid, if you see something relevant, please feel free to forward it to me and we can continue.
Good night.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so I want to make sure we're wrapped in an hour. And so that was pretty much the agenda items for tonight, but I just wanted to let everyone know that's on tonight. There is an Interfaith Power and Light National Virtual Conference, October 3rd through 5th.
Okay.
And so I will be on some of that, but if anybody else wants to join, there's no need for anyone else to join. I'll tune in for some of it. But if anybody else wants to join, I can send out the agenda. It's all virtual on Zoom, and it's just leaders from throughout the country with Interfaith Power and Light.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. Sure.
I would love to see that, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Ken, Molly, anyone else? Ingrid, would I hear you?
Ingrid, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can send it to me, Adam.
Me
Van.
too.
Okay. I will send it to the 5 of you that are on tonight. And I would just preface, and I'll send this in the email that I sent you all, but the invite was to me as kind of the state leader for Idaho and any other board member type levels. So it's not a national conference for the general public. And so for those that end up joining, I would just ask that unless you have something very pressing to unmute and share, that if you're joining and you're not on our board, I just ask that you are very respectful that it's a national conference and try to mostly just attend without I don't know, taking up too much time. That makes sense.
So it's okay to lurk.
Can you let
I don't want to send 5 people from Idaho that think it's like a public forum, because it's really kind of a national leadership conference.
Yeah.
So just putting that out there.
No problem with that.
Thank
be
you.
sure,
I'm very
be
good
sure
at
and
keeping
let
my head
Andrew
down.
know.
What's that, Ingrid?
Be sure and let Andrew know.
I will. Yeah, I'll let our board know. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ingrid. Okay, so that was pretty much. We don't need to talk about our open letter. I think, as we discussed, getting these quarterly meetings for administrative work and then planning our events is kind of a good pace of work right now. But does anyone else in the last few minutes, was there anything else anybody wanted to bring to the table while we're here?
Just thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mark, we're just waiting to hear back from you with regard to when the location will work out.
Probably won't be tonight.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Stay up till 4 a.m. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you for
everybody.
doing that. Good night.
All right. Good night. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night, all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.